Hmm. It's a hard one. There's not another game quite like it. At least that I've played.
Like, I guess I imagine it as just a giant improv sesh. A whole bunch of people come in, improv around a story, and leave.
I like the storytelling part. I think there's a lot of like imagination and creativity that goes behind it.
Kind of like a whose line is it anyway skit. That's how I imagine it.
And it's just fun, like, to like banter back and forth. I think that's really fun.
Yeah, I definitely say that it is a interactive storytelling game, I guess.
What do you think of when you hear the words Dungeons and Dragons? For some people, they automatically assume
Sweaty basement dwelling heathens, probably. But now I just, probably just normal people that I was like, oh, kind of a nerd.
Before I started playing it, I just thought of like 30-year-old men playing in their mom's basement.
Extremely nerdy. Yep.
But has it always been this way? To find out, we have to go back. Back in the 70s, two guys, Gary Gygax and Dave Arneson, created a tabletop game called Chainmail. It was basically a medieval version of Risk, but pretty soon they started playing around with the rules until it turned into something different. The medieval strategy game transformed into the tabletop role-playing game known as Dungeons and Dragons. Back then, the game was mostly about getting a big group of friends together, sitting them around a table, and telling stories together about what their characters were doing in some fantastical world they had created. From this emerged many new rules and key stats, rules about things from swinging a sword to conjuring a fireball to slay the undead, and thus Advanced Dungeons & Dragons was born. AD&D was pretty cool, but in its wake it created what's known as a moral panic. People started getting concerned about what the implications of this game were.
It's D&D, and it's become popular with children anywhere from grammar school on up. Not so with a lot of adults who think it's been connected to a number of suicides and murders. The idea of the game, which is played by highly imaginative and intelligent kids, is to assume the role of one of the characters. One game can go on for weeks or even months. The problem seems to be that some kids take it more seriously than others, take it a step further, playing a character who brings them the power in a game they couldn't possibly get in real life.
In 1982, Patricia Pulling founded BAD, Bothered About Dungeons and Dragons, after her son Irving committed suicide. As her son had played D&D, she filed a wrongful death lawsuit against her son's high school principal, holding him responsible for what she claimed was a D&D curse placed upon him shortly before his death.
We went into the kitchen, and there on the table were what we thought were just regular composition books with schoolwork in it, and much of the Dungeons and Dragons material, along with this curse he had received in the game that day that he died. It was obvious through his writings that he felt he had assumed this character.
She later filed suit against TSR, publishers of the game at the time. The case against TSR was thrown out in 1984, and most of her claims were disproved by reporters.
That's all people do.
I would certainly do it in a scientific manner, and this is as unscientific as you can get. It's nothing but a witch hunt.
Not many people seem to know the specifics about the history of D&D. They do, however, know about its lingering reputation.
Oh, like Satan and stuff? No, I'm not. But I can imagine it.
Is it safe for a Christian to enjoy video games that have magic in them if the person playing the games is not practicing the magic?
I think, the idea is not how close can I get to danger,
Really?
but how far away can I stay from it. I don't know what game you're talking about. I know there's one called Dungeons and Dragons that literally destroyed people's lives. I mean, they got into this thing and they were almost, it was like demonic.
Years later, in 1990, the Center for Disease Control and Prevention did multiple studies concerning players of D&D and their likelihood to commit suicide. According to one study, they stated that there is no significant correlation between years of playing the game and emotional stability. Another study, done in 2015, suggested that psychiatrists do not associate role-playing games such as Dungeons & Dragons with poor mental health. Which leads to now. How is D&D perceived in the world? Do the people that actually play D&D fit into the stereotype of what a D&D player is?
I don't think... No, I don't think I fit the stereotype for what a D&D player is.
I would say no. I mean, I've only played with one group of people, and I wouldn't say that any of those people fit that specific stereotype. Maybe myself a little bit. But other than that, no.
I don't feel like I fit into like some sort of a mold of what they think of a classic D&D player.
Is there something that may have shifted society's perception of D&D players?
Playing the game before I had seen this, but Stranger Things, they did play it in there. But like I had talked about it before.
For those who watched Stranger Things, I think Stranger Things probably did have a positive effect overall on the mindset of people who play D&D.
To some people, in the end, Dungeons & Dragons is just another game. But to those that play it, it might represent just a little bit more.
Being a girl, I feel like, at least from my perspective, like I haven't talked to many girls that play D&D. But I think it's a lot of fun, and I think it's like worth giving a shot.
Don't knock it till you try it. That is what I would say to those people that are against it. Just because, I mean, honestly, it's a game.
It's kind of like you're playing, but at the same time, it's almost like background noise, and it's really just hanging out and playing is something you're doing in the background always. So I'm sitting here talking with friends, eating food, just hanging out, but in the background, we're also playing along the story.
When I'm in the game, I don't think about that at all. Like, I am in the game and I'm having a blast. It's a grand old time. Yeah, I don't think like, wow, this is really nerdy, because it's not at all.
Play it. Yeah, that's what I would say, play it. Because they're like, oh, I mean, I could tell them anything I want to do, but once they play it, then they'll be like, oh, okay.